Hi,
Morning.
Mr. Harvey.
How's things?
I'm good, thanks. And yourself, sir?
Yes, all good. How's work?
Work is going very well. Thank you, sir.
Good.
Working hard, but I'm glad it's weekend.
Are you guys back in the office or are you still remote working?
I'm still remote working, but yeah, I'm looking at going into the Payfast office next week, sir.
Okay, when's the new one ready?
I think it's the 1st of May.
Okay, that'll be exciting. That's going to be really nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
So. And yourself, how have you enjoyed the time off, sir?
Yes, been very good. Been working quite hard. I don't know why.
That's not good.
And what are you studying?
I'm studying informatics, a Bachelor of Science in Informatics. So,
Through which varsity?
UNISA.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm doing my 2 of my third year modules this year and then 2 next year, because the third year modules are quite rough. They have projects.
Yes, they're quite hectic, eh?
Yeah. But the stuff I'm learning is fantastic. For my future, if I want to go into management, it's really cool stuff that I'm studying. So I'm glad I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's good. It gives you a nice grounding as well.
So yeah, this I just thought I'd interview you for one of my year projects, which is essentially just to study a multinational enterprise of our choice, where we essentially just need to look at the internationalization process of how they reached into other countries and how they experienced it. And then I essentially just need to go analyze that and then see if or why it worked, and then if there's anything I can suggest to management as well.
Okay.
So I just wrote a couple of questions here. I started with my report, but I just have a couple of questions that I just like to ask you.
Cool. Let's go for it.
Okay, cool. So my first question is, where did Paygate start? From, where we started in 1999 up to 2006, where Iran got involved.
Okay. You want to know what a bit of a history or?
Sure, just a little bit of a background from where how we started in South Africa and then how we reached out and became DPO Group.
Okay. Yeah, so we started in 1999 and we were ahead of the curve from an internet payments perspective. I mean, the internet was brand new in 1999. So we dealt with primarily mail order companies in South Africa. And through 1999 to 2016, that grew. I mean, the internet grew up. People started getting more comfortable buying stuff online. And around about 2012, I realized, if we can do it in South Africa, we can do it in any country. And I started approaching banks, multi-jurisdictional banks like Standard Bank, to say, well, can we do processing for you in other countries in Africa? And they were super keen. So we worked with Standard Bank and we could offer payment processing in 14 countries in Africa. But I then realized that it's very difficult to do business in a country if you don't have a presence in the country. Just from a customer support perspective, but also the consumers in country, they get uncomfortable if they're dealing with
they want to trust someone that's in their country.
Exactly. And it's fine if it's a brand like MasterCard or Visa, but a smallish company that's busy growing, they want in-country presence. So I went up to Kenya, did a couple of trips up there, and tried to set up a company in Kenya. And I tried to do it with partners. And we tried with 2 in-country partners. And similarly, we went to Nigeria and we tried to set up there with partners. And it just didn't work. There's a significant difference between doing it yourself and partnering with someone. And when you partner with someone, I realized that that company that you were partnering with didn't necessarily have the same ethics and the same what's the word, reliability and commitment to the task. So we found that it just wasn't practical and it wasn't working, so we killed that. And that took us from 2012 to about late 2014, where it took us 2 years to realize this is a bad idea. It did convince me, though, that payments in Africa was a good idea. So multi-jurisdictional payments were a good idea. So when APIS approached me in late 2014 and said, meet Iran from 3G Direct Pay East Africa, and let's put the two companies together and form the DPO group, then I was interested because I liked what I saw in terms of the energy and the ethics and the just the whole way Iran and Offer ran their business. It was very similar to the way we ran ours, and they were in country in a couple of African countries already. So with APIS's backing the venture, and I got comfort from the fact that APIS specialize in fintech, and had studied literally hundreds of service providers in Southeast Asia and Africa. And APIS had come to the conclusion that Paygate and 3G would be a good fit. So on that basis, and on the basis that I liked what I saw in Iran and Offer, we agreed to do a deal. And that changed the dynamic, because now it wasn't partners. We were the same company. And that was our foot into multi-jurisdictional payment processing in Africa.
Okay, very cool. So would you say that the opportunity that was there was obviously the multi-jurisdictional payment that wasn't there yet, and that caused you guys to actually integrate into the top of Africa?
Correct.
Okay, cool. And then my next question is regarding the ethics. Did you notice any, and you spoke about the ethics that didn't work and the ethics that did work with Iran and Alpha. Did you notice any ethical differences between, for example, setting up the business here in South Africa versus setting it up in the top of Africa?
Yeah, not so much ethical differences, because, when you're dealing with banks, every bank wants to deal with an ethical business.
Correct.
So it was more that I noticed more ethical similarities.
Okay.
So so in APIS's, because APIS is a private equity company, and they have to work within a mandate, and that mandate was that they would not invest in any unethical business.
I see.
And unethical was defined by a whole set of what they could and couldn't do. So they weren't allowed to invest in businesses that processed porn or any illegal tobacco or gaming. So there was a bunch of ethics that APIS could not invest in, or could only invest in. And that set of ethics was not an issue for 3G Direct Pay or Paygate. So I knew we were aligned.
Okay. And then what institutions and regulators do we have to deal with to actually be allowed to take money from one account and actually put it into another account?
Yeah, so in each country it's different.
It's actually a two-part question. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
The main question is in South Africa, and then the major differences that you've noticed when branching into different countries with the financial institutions, legal institutions that you have to deal with, etc.
Okay. Yeah, so in South Africa you have to be you have to have a contract with the bank you're dealing with. So a lot depends how you're processing payments. For example, it's different if you're a payment switch or a payment aggregator. And in South Africa, you need a different license with the Payments Association of South Africa. There is a TPP license, which is needed for the aggregator, and there is a system operator license, which is needed for the switch. In the DPO group, we have both, because we do both. And so you basically licensed, you contracted with your bank. The bank is contracted with MasterCard and Visa, and the bank registers the payment service provider with MasterCard and Visa as either a TPP or a system operator. And yeah, so it's the banks license you with the card associations. You also then, so the payment service provider must be licensed with PASA, and then the central bank, the South African Reserve Bank, liaises with PASA, and PASA keeps the central bank informed of all the participants in the national payment system. Now, in Namibia, in most countries, it's a similar model. In fact, ultimately, all countries in Africa will have that model. Where we're at right now is some don't have a payments association.
I see.
So the payments association is relatively new in Namibia. When I say relatively new, probably last 10 years. Other countries like Mozambique, Zambia are starting to get that in place. But in all cases, the DPO group would go and meet with the central bank, because every country has a central bank.
Okay, and then when there is no payments association in the country, is there something else that governs that? Is there, I don't know, mutual trust between companies, maybe that nothing will happen, or is it just possible for, I don't know, fraud to happen, for example?
Yeah, so there's different approaches to it. Some companies just go and start processing, and they take a just do it approach, and then they wait for regulation to catch up to them, and they operate on the basis that don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
I see.
And that's one approach. In DPO, we always took the approach of meet the central bank, have the chat, let them know what we're doing, and ask them if there are any compliances we need to abide by.
Okay.
And often, some would say, yes, there is. Others would say, no, there isn't, but it's coming. And others would say, no, there isn't, but we're happy. Thanks for meeting us.
Okay, cool. That's good to hear. And then, any language barriers that we've experienced, or, for example, the way a country runs, or any culture, stuff like that, that has experienced or has changed our products, if that makes sense. So have we, for example, changed, I know, for example, mobile money is a massive thing for us up in Central Africa. How did we come up with that idea, and what was the market there? Because it's obviously not as big in South Africa as, I think, as in the top of Africa.
So that's a classic case where it proves that you need an in-country presence. Because to sit in South Africa, you will have a perception of what's required. And it might be totally different in Cote d'Ivoire or Ghana or Guinea or one of these places. So our model was always to have to register a company in country, and to appoint a country manager. So in some countries we have offices with one person in it. That is our person on the ground in country, and that person, and we never took a Kenyan and made him in-country head of Nigeria or vice versa. We really wanted someone from the territory
that understands the territory and the country.
Exactly. Okay. And then from that feedback, that took away the language problem and the cultural problem, because that person was our eyes and ears on the ground in terms of language and culture. And then that person would give input into, listen, our payment page is no good because people don't understand English. So we need it in Portuguese, or we need it in French. Often we couldn't, you can't do everything that every country manager says you must do, but it builds the list, and you can take a strategic view of, do we translate to French for Cote d'Ivoire, or do we do Afrikaans for South Africa first?
Okay, that's very cool. And then I have two more questions. The last one is just idea for the objectives of DPO in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think? Where are we heading next as a company?
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, DPO is a payment services provider, and by definition provides payment processing services to merchants. So DPO's job is to get merchants paid, and then there's a bunch of ancillary services around that. So for example, in East Africa is a good example. We'll allow merchants to get paid via card or via M-Pesa or via some other mobile payment. But then, in addition to that, if a Kenyan company needs to make a payment to a Ugandan company, if a Kenyan was to send a Ugandan $100, that money physically goes via some bank in the States. So from Kenya, it goes via some bank in the States to get all the way back to Ghana, which is right next door.
Yes.
So it's silly, and that would bring me to crypto and all the benefits of crypto. But DPO, if both merchants are on our system, then we allow merchant A to pay merchant B off DPO. So that's ancillary processing services. But ultimately, DPO going forward, we will continue to give merchants ways to get paid, and for example, DPO is keeping an eye on crypto to see how can the blockchain be used, where can it be used to the benefit of the merchant. So we're very careful not to just jump into any hot new tech for the sake of it, but where it makes practical sense, then DPO would get involved. Okay,
very cool. And then my last question: what determines the success or failure of a multinational enterprise in your experience of building DPO?
I would say specifically keeping the customer happy. So, and DPO's customer were the merchants, but if a merchant's customers are unhappy, then the merchant is unhappy. So really, it was easy, or in my view, it's easy. DPO needs to understand what our customers want and to take a view on what they need, which they might not know they want yet. So, for example, crypto, nobody's asking us for crypto right now, but we'll keep an eye on it because they might need it at some point. So give them what they want, keep an eye on what they need, and then it's just the rock solid foundation. So you don't want, you can give a merchant payment processing for free. If it doesn't work, he's not going to be happy with it.
Yeah.
So it has to work every time, or 99.99% of the time. Once it works, it has to be safe and secure, and then you can start looking at price and whatnot. But ultimately, it's just quality support to the merchant where they're getting a usable service at a reasonable price.
Okay, that's very cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have a lot of information that I can use now.
Cool. And the key, Brandon, if you were going to start a new company, I saw many examples of people going out and getting $100 million, literally, investment. And then they would take 50 developers and sit on the 17th floor of some nice building, and they would build like a beautiful app that's not linked to reality. So you take that beautiful app and you put it on the streets of Ghana and no one uses it. And M-Pesa, which is a smoke and mirrors app, it is a technical dog, works like a bomb because it's what people on the ground need. And even if it's clumsy, it's making their life easier.
Yeah, so it fills that specific need that they...
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. I have to get back to work now.
You better go and work hard.
Yeah, will do.
Cool.
Yeah, I want to thank you for your time, sir, and then I hope you enjoy your time off. Have you managed to find a fortune for yourself yet?
Yes, I'm sorted.
Okay, that's good.
Sorted.
So I hope you enjoy your time in Africa, sir.
I'm planning safaris in Africa already.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Yes,
Bye.
bye.